TV News, expanding your view.
Thanks for staying with us on Saturday edition of Core Digest. It's good to have you out there as we take an insider's account of the just concluded national conference in Nigeria. I love to call him a veteran and a generational law teacher. He's taught over 50 SANs. I mean, that's quite interesting. Professor Akin Oyebode, thank you very much for staying the course on the show today.
You're welcome.
In this other half, our phone lines will come on the screen shortly so we can have your contribution and endeavor to turn down the volume of your TV set when you're calling. Many have asked the question of what impact really has this national confab had on a major challenge, a major security challenge, what we call the Boko Haram menace in Nigeria. Some have asked why didn't we have representation from that quarters, and what impact do you think all these suggestions and recommendations would have on this menace?
Okay, the confab devoted a whole day to the Boko Haram in Broglio. And we had a committee on security, committee on defense, different committees. And we listened very attentively to delegates from the Northeast, especially the Borno state. And in fact, there was a day when we were informed that the Boko Haram had served notice on the village that they were going to strike that evening. And the confab had to make special representation to the powers that be to fortify the defense for that beleaguered village. And so it's not correct to say that the confab was oblivious of the problem of security because, you know, we experienced a bomb blast. I think there was a mall which was attacked, the early mall in Abuja. In fact, one of my friends, we nearly lost him in that bomb attack because he was in the traffic 2 cars away from the bomb blast. His car was shattered, the car in front, and he was lucky to be alive. So that brought the crisis very close home to some of us. And even entering the premises, the National Judicial Institute, you will have noticed very heavy security presence. Bomb detectors, armored personnel carriers, DSS people in full combat gear, and people on the perimeter patrol. And so nobody was at a loss or at sea in terms of the security problems that Nigeria was enduring. As I told you, we had nearly 40 generals represented in the confab, and they brought all manner of their experience to bear in terms of intelligence gathering, in terms of what to do and what have you. So that's why I said the confab was a mini Nigeria. Different sectors of the national economy were represented. So security played a very prominent role. And the security, in fact, during the presentation of the Committee on Security, the press was asked to leave because of the implications of the report. And the man who presented the report was a former head of the NSO, you know. And so we had all sorts of people with varied experience in these matters who made concrete suggestions that are embodied in the report to the government as to what needs to be done.
But in your own personal opinion, what would you say is the basis of this terror act in Nigeria?
Well, it's multifaceted. You know, the death of Muhammad Yusuf, you remember when he was killed in 2007, I guess it was, after being handed over by the military to the police, caused the resentment and really radicalized the Boko Haram group. I was lucky and privileged to have been invited by Oxford University 3 years ago to a big international conference on terrorism. The late Festus Iyayi was also invited. Festus Iyayi gave the history of the Boko Haram, and my presentation was on the legal aspects, what to do in terms of the law. I did a review of the Anti-Terrorism Act.
Okay.
So terrorism is a global phenomenon. It's not something limited to Nigeria. But in the Nigerian experience, we've had the role of the Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, especially Mali, Mauritania, then Al-Shabaab in Somalia, who also helped in training some of the cadre for Boko Haram. And Shekau, if you see in the recent past, the way he's been talking and his actions mimicked the actions of ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, that are perpetrating atrocities in Iraq as we speak. If you listen to the spokesperson of the Israeli Foreign Ministry about 2 weeks ago, he said Hamas was not too different from Boko Haram. He mentioned Boko Haram. So Boko Haram has gone into the league of terrorists, world terrorists. So it's not something that should be looked at from just the local dimension. Terrorism is like an octopus that has tentacles in different countries of the world. And Boko Haram represents the Nigerian tentacles of global terrorism. Global terrorism, especially of the Islamic fundamentalist species, looks at the United States as the primary enemy. And you saw how a journalist was beheaded last week, and how and why the Defense Secretary in the United States says is the most serious enemy that the United States faces now. And you can see that the kidnapping of Chibok girls or the seizure of cadets in the police academy in Guazo is not too different from what ISIS has been doing in Iraq, seizing people and perpetrating all manner of atrocities.
Well, what recommended solutions did the confab have for terrorism in Nigeria?
Well, the solutions are normal things that we've had, that we must intensify intelligence gathering, okay? And also do work in the line of motivating those who are at the theater of conflict, on the front line, who are laying down their lives on a daily basis to keep Nigeria safe and secure from the ogre of terrorism. Then also, that is to say, we improve, the armament architecture, the equipment, because there has been a lot of talk about under-equipment of our military, that the Boko Haram people tend to be better equipped in terms of firepower than our own soldiers. And technically, one were taught that the police should also be strengthened in terms of intelligence gathering and in terms of deterrence against criminality. The Nigeria police is in not a terribly good shape in terms of emoluments, motivation, even barracks. You know the story of the police college before the expose by the TV house caused the refurbishment and all that. So it's a multi-pronged thing. It's not, there's no silver bullet, as it were, that will take care of terrorism. And then Nigerian generally should be more security conscious. Once Nigerians notice something untoward or unfamiliar, then there should be a report. In America, you talk of 911. Everybody knows 911. We don't need all this multiplicity of telephone numbers. We should have, I think we had one before, that 112 or something. There should be a national emergency number that anybody can call, whether for fire, whether for robbery, whether for accident. Just one number like you have in the United States of America.
But do you agree with the school of thought that claims a deeper ethnic and political affiliation, to all of these terrorist acts?
Well, you know, nobody has all the answers on terrorism. I know people have ascribed the resurgence of violence and terrorism to the statement by certain political actors after the last presidential election that they were going to make the country ungovernable. And people are saying the witch cried yesterday night, now the child died this morning. There must be a nexus. But I want us to broaden our vision beyond just this one said or ascribing a political agenda, that certain failed politicians or those who don't take defeat lying low. I think we have to have a broad-minded approach, as I said, multifaceted, multi-pronged. Take care of internal security, okay, and consciousness raising. People must be sensitized to the necessity. We're too careless. Look at the airport. People just stroll in and out. There are points. We must know certain targets, potential targets for enemy action. In Abuja, where I stayed in the last 5 months, I noticed that there's tremendous gridlock brought about because of heightened security. But I don't think it's by putting checkpoints, roadblocks and whatever that. You need, for instance, closed circuit TV. You need human intelligence, people that, like detective work, to really be 2-3 steps ahead of terrorists. Because like, you remember when Margaret Thatcher was being threatened by the IRA, and the Conservative Party's conference was about to be attacked. But the security people in the UK, they got wind and they were on top of the situation. And the IRA had to come out that, look, madam, you were lucky this time. We need to be lucky just once. In other words, you must be able to anticipate and forestall the attack and not think after the event. So we need a lot of intellect to be brought to bear in terms of, I'm talking of counterinsurgency. I'm not an expert in security, but as somebody who is a bit knowledgeable in international law, I have ideas in terms of what the world is doing, the law, either at UN level, in terms of containing or combating the threat of insurgency. So we need a very good counter-insurgency architecture in order to enable Nigerians to sleep better at night.
It's all right.
Yes.
I'm being told now that we're having a little bit of challenge with the phone lines. Keep trying. Let's hope that we'll be able to open it for you. We'll keep trying. The numbers right there on your screen. Some have said that everything lies and falls on leadership, that much of the challenge that we are facing in Nigeria today is a challenge of leadership. The conference has a recommendation as regards rotation of presidency between the North and South. Should presidency be a function of ethnic affiliation or a function of capacity to lead?
Well, the recommendation is informed by the stage of our political development. The fact that you have to declare a modality for rotation of presidency tells me that the Nigerian political system does not appear to have developed to the stage where it will no longer really matter where the president comes from, or whether he faces Jerusalem or Mecca, or the Babalawo, or Shango, or Oshun, or whatever. When we politically evolve to a stage where it's no longer relevant whether the president is from the Niger Delta or is from Yoruba land, then you say the Nigerian political system had come of age. People still perceive leadership in terms of ethnicity or sometimes in terms of religion. Look, I just listened to a news item saying that Jonathan should be saluted for appointing 2 successive inspectors general from a part of the country. That tells me this means we are a deformed political state. Should it really matter where the Inspector General of Police comes from or the Chief Justice of Nigeria? or indeed the propaganda on women. Right now, we have a surfeit of women. Chief Justice of Nigeria is a woman. President of the Court of Appeal is a woman. So what's happening to the men? The men have a right to call for affirmative action. So what I'm saying in essence is that leadership should be differentiated.
Just a minute, Prof.
From the origin.
We have a caller here in Lagos. Hello, B. Good morning. Good morning, B. How are you today?
Hello.
Good morning.
B from Lagos.
You're welcome. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Well, I want to appreciate the professor on sex for a job well done. May the Lord continue to keep him for us so that I can have a long life and
Amen.
prosperity. But my question is, the resolutions made at the national conference, will it be implemented by the president? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Well, if I can respond immediately, the president 2 days ago actually swore that the resolutions were going to be carried out. But the way he wants to carry out those resolutions is another problem in itself, because he said the report will go to the Council of State as well as the National Assembly. For me, that's a non-starter. The resolutions or recommendations could be divided into three parts. The policy aspects, okay, which he can administratively implement. Then you talk of the legal or constitutional resolutions, which definitely he will have to implement, if you will, within a legal framework. And he has opted to submit, I believe, that part of the report to the National Assembly. So the president, in my view, is thinking of an amendment to the extant constitution. That's why I said it was a non-starter. In the view of many of us, the 1999 constitution has outlived its usefulness. We don't need to panel beat it anymore, because too much panel beating would destroy the body of a car. You are better off with a new car, a brand new car, than to keep sending your car to the panel beater. If you are going to have maybe about 200 or 300 amendments to that constitution, aren't we better off with a brand new constitution, which will encompass all those things? And then you subject the constitution, the new one, to a referendum, which will give it the imprimatur of legality as well as legitimacy. The problem is that many people believe that you must abide by the present constitution. But if you go by what the constitution says, which itself was crafted by a non-elected process, because, as you know, only a few people wrote the 1999 constitution. And if you go by that constitution and follow the provisions for its amendment, you go to sections 8 and 9, for instance, especially 9, you know, in terms of these local governments that we are talking about, and amendment and the procedure to go through National Assembly, the state assemblies, qualified majority and whatever. There will be no end to the matter. The National Assembly has also its amendment process going on. So how many amendments are we talking about? So if the president had mustered the political will, he could have just asked for a Constituent Assembly or something to draft a new constitution out of the recommendations of the confab. And the confab has helped by creating the skeleton of a new constitution. It's how to bring that constitution into being that the president should sort out. But he has adopted an easy way out. Let the National Assembly do it, which for me, as I said, will not work.
But is the problem really with a new constitution or with the implementation of its content? Because we've seen a lot of amendments recently, bills and acts, but when it gets to the field of practice and actual reality, there's nothing there.
Well, that sounds like a shibboleth in this country. People always say our problem is not with policy, our problem is with implementation. No, the Constitution is the fundamental law, is the basic law in every society. It's the highest law in any society. And any other law that is contrary to it will be null, void, and of no effect. So when we talk of the supremacy of the Constitution, it's a very serious matter. I'm suggesting to you that the 1999 Constitution has fulfilled its mission. It should be jettisoned in order to give a fillip to create a new day for Nigeria. Okay. We need a new constitution. How to bring that new constitution into being lies in the court of the president. The president did not feel impelled to do the needful and has surrendered his power of action to the National Assembly. And you know the National Assembly. So for me, it's a conundrum that we can't resolve. And maybe in another few years, we'll have to convene another confab. We thought that the confab should be the last of all confabs. We've had the 1994 conference, we had the 2005 conference. 2014 was, to use Mike Ozekome's language, the last bus stop. You know, and we thought we have done all that needs to be done. Okay. It's now the political will that is lacking. So maybe President Jonathan should have to advise himself, direct himself back to the necessary path of subjecting the recommendation to the popular will. The people should decide yes or no. If 51% of the Nigerian electorate says yes, then we have a new constitution. That is what happened in Tunisia. That's what happened in Egypt. That's what happened in South Africa, Eritrea, everywhere else. Are they more civilized than Nigerians? They say no. Nigerians are politically sophisticated enough to create for themselves a constitution that will regulate their affairs.
Where is the confidence in referendum coming from? Is it not the same electoral process? Are you saying that we've gotten it so far that if we go for a referendum, that we will indeed have the will of the people?
The referendum is a different thing from elections for political office. Okay. The question is yes or no. They will publicize the constitution, debate, discuss it, and whatever, and one fine day, the Nigerian electorate will have to go and exercise their ballot franchise.
I'm referring to the system and the procedure. No, do you think we have the capacity to get it right?
Of course. We have INEC. INEC is charged with organizing elections. It's going to be a one-day referendum throughout Nigeria. INEC has the capacity. And do you think Egypt has greater capacity than Nigeria, or Tunisia, or South Africa? We are talking of Nigeria. So I have very much confidence in Nigerians' ability. We go to help others to solve their problems. I'm surprised that we want to deprecate the capacity and capability of Nigerians to go to heaven the way they want. So quite sincerely, I think we can do it. Try us, you dare us, and you'll be pleasantly surprised.
You sounded like I'm not Nigerian now. Well, we're rounding up now. Let's just have your final comments. I would have loved to ask you in the next 3 years, because you might be retiring in the next 3 years, what your personal plans are. But let me have your take on Nigeria as a nation and as a people. Oh, we have a caller from Kano. And oh my. Let's see if we can take this. Hello, Cletus.
Hello?
Good morning. Please quickly go ahead with your contribution.
Hello? Hello?
Go ahead with the contribution, Cletus.
Okay. I'm seeing the professor who is part of the delegate what they are discussing, but I'm mainly concerned on the security issues. Hello?
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, the respect of the security system of Nigeria. I recommend the professor who is speaking now on the issue of security in Nigeria.
I'm afraid we can make do with that quality of connection. Please, Cletus, endeavor to call us back. Just let's get your feedback on our social media platforms. I'm sure that will roll on your screen shortly. Let's just have your final comments, Professor, before we go.
Well, I think I have greater confidence in the possibility of Nigeria transcending its present difficulty. As I said, we have capable men and women, experienced versatile exposure who can help Nigeria pull through. It's not going to be easy, but we have to be optimistic. I think the glass is half full than half empty. I think that's all I will say at this point.
Thank you very much, Professor Akin Oyebode. He is represented Ekiti State in the just concluded national conference, a former Vice Chancellor of the Ekiti State University, former University of Ado-Ekiti, Professor of International Law for over 20 years. Thank you very much for finding time again to join us on the program.
Thank you, Nifesi.
Nifemi.
No, Nifemi.
Of course, they call it Nifesimi as
Oh,
well.
okay, Nifesimi.
All right, Call Digest continues tomorrow. It's going to be 12 o'clock on Sunday. We'll take a break now, and top of the hour news is just in a moment. Don't go away. Professor, thank you very much.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Call TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.